I'm here with the Honda CRF300L, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 5 favorite value-oriented modifications you can do on this machine. Stay tuned. Alright, so the very first mod that I did on this Honda 300 and that I do on any bike and highly recommend is some protection for the motorcycle. You know, you just spent a bunch of money on it, you worked hard to buy it, and you want to protect that. So number one mod I always do first, I don't even ride a bike before I do it, is a skid plate. This one's from Emperor Racing. It's super trick, fits beautifully, it was very reasonably priced. You know, all it takes is one rock without a skid plate to jam itself up into that case and your case is toast. So skid plate can pay for itself very quickly. Another bike protection mod I always do, although it isn't as critical and it can wait if money's tight, is a radiator guard. Sending a stick through one of these radiators or crushing it by dumping the bike is a great way to ruin your ride. So the number one first mod I always do on a bike, put some protection on it, and that pays dividends, and it's especially helpful on these 300s if you want to get going off-road. So that's my first mod. Alright, the second mod that I recommend for your CRF300 is another thing that I do on all my bikes, and it's some rider protection. It is wraparound handguards. I'm not too picky on the brand. I picked these ones up at a pawn shop for like $5 a number of years ago, and they've saved my hands, they've saved my levers, and they've been totally worth the investment. One thing I did notice on the CRF300 is this guard here had a bit of a lip designed to protect the master cylinder, and it got in the way of these throttle cables here. So I just filed that down, and those have worked good. So number two mod, get some handguards. It's cheap. I'd almost, again, put those on before you even ride the bike. All right, so the third mod we did on this 300 was we upgraded the tires. Right now on the back we have a Kenda K270, nice 50/50 tire. They're very reasonably priced, good all-around tire. And on the front I'm running the Moto's Tractionator IT, more of a knobby 90/10. That's the combo I like running on dual sports. I will say that the tires that come on the 300 aren't as tragic as some of the tires that come on the other bikes. So we actually ran them until they wore out before we replaced them, just to get some value out of those tires, and they worked okay. But this was a big upgrade, and those stock tires sure didn't last long. So third best value oriented mod, get some tires, they'll make you a better rider. Alright, number 4 mod to do on the old 300 here is some luggage carrying capacity. There's a few ways to go about this. On all my bikes, I always put some sort of fender bag on the front. This is a giant loop one. I've used the Nelson Riggs ones as well. They both work just fine. And I always keep some sort of a spare tire kit in there. So I got a tube, some irons, and the tools needed to remove the wheel in there. And I do this on all my bikes, and I have it on all my rides. That way, no matter what I'm planning on doing, what I'm planning on going, I'm always prepared. I also, on the 300, if you're going to be camping or you want to get some more luggage, totally recommend putting a rear rack on here. Great mod. They float around $100. This is actually a CRF300L rack that I modified to fit by welding that bracket in a different spot, but you don't need to do that. So some sort of luggage carrying capacity on here is an awesome mod. I also like these Pelican cases. This one's actually from Canadian Tire, but it's the same. These are a great way to carry tools, snacks, change of clothing, whatever you want on your ride, and they're tough, very reasonably priced. The only downside is makes it tough to swing your leg over the bike. So some sort of luggage capacity is definitely that fourth mod I'd be doing on here. All right, my number 5 mod is that seat concept seat you see there. The stock seat that comes on the 300 isn't that great. It's not the worst stock seat ever, but if you're planning on going on those longer rides, then I totally recommend the seat concept seat. It's quite a bit wider in the area where you're sitting. It's a little softer than stock, and it makes a big difference. It also looks great. With this bike, at the time Seat Concept sold a kit that just came with the cover and foam that you could put on your stock seat pan. Doesn't look like they sell it anymore, so that's a bit of a spendy upgrade, and you may want to really think it through before you spend the money. But I totally recommend that seat concept seat is your 5th mod, and going with comfort, some other stuff you can do that we've added. Put on some pillow top style grips here, and perhaps more importantly, we've got some grip heaters on here which help in this rainy, yucky weather we tend to have in British Columbia. So those are my top 5 value-oriented CRF300 mods. Now I'm going to tell you about some common mods that people do that I haven't done, and I'll tell you why. I've watched a lot of videos, and almost everyone seems to replace these handlebars immediately because they're super soft and bend. And I will admit, they're not the most high-quality handlebars, and they bend easily like most steel handlebars. However, the bend isn't that bad, and honestly, I'd keep them on the bike until you bend them. We've done quite a few drops with this bike. It's definitely taken some hits, and the handlebars are still straight, so I'd save your money on handlebars until you actually need to buy some new ones. The other common mod that everyone does is the suspension, and I will agree that the suspension on this bike is certainly a low point, like it is on every more value-priced dual sport. Honestly, it's rideable for us. Maybe we'll go down that road in the future, but for now, these mods we've done here have made this a very comfortable dual-purpose bike for off-road adventures, quite a bit of pavement, and some bigger trips. So we haven't done the suspension. We did previously have a 250L, and we put a larger fuel tank on it. We have yet to do that on the 300L. So far, on longer trips, we've just been putting a Rotopax on the back where that Pelican case is, and that's been working all right for us so far. Not sure if we're going to go with that larger tank. Maybe we will be doing that in the future. Alright, so there's my top 5 mods for the Honda CRF300L. This isn't the most extensive build I've ever done on a bike, but honestly, this bike works great with this setup and wasn't super expensive. So if you're looking for a dual sport bike that you can buy brand new and get some decent mods for, I totally recommend the Honda CRF300. If you're looking for a more value-oriented bike, the 250 is still a pretty good bike, and I'll have a video coming out comparing the two real soon. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. Otherwise, have a good one.